You're now watching This AFC South Show, brought to you by Curtis Podcast Network, hosted by Curtis Brown, Blake Bellamy, Isaiah Michelli, and Jeff Steckel. Hello, everybody, and welcome to This AFC South Show. I'm your host, Curtis Brown, here on Curtis's Podcast Network. With me, as always, Jeff Steckel and Isaiah Michelli. Jeff is a Colts fan, Isaiah very clearly a Jags fan. I'm a Texans fan. Our Titans guy, Blake, is not here this evening. He's doing school. He's a teacher, and he's also in school to further his education. So he gets the night off until that's done. But we got the Tennessee game going on right now against Kansas City, and we got three other games to get into for this reaction episode. Folks, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. We're in the hunt for 1,000. We are at 119, so we need 881 more. So hit the button. Share with your friends. If you got Texans, Titans, Colts, Jags fans in your life, send them our way.
They're hard to find, but send them to us.
But without any further ado, let's get into it. And Jeff, let's lead off with the Colts and the Patriots. A disappointing game today, 26-3.
Extremely. So I wasn't able to get on the episode that we did to lead into this weekend's games, but I think it's a good segue. Frank Reich had a press conference, and it was about the firing of Marcus Brady, their offensive coordinator. And this team is so damn dysfunctional. He came out and said that, you know, it was the hardest decision he had to make. He was an excellent coach. And my whole thing is you don't fire excellent coaches. Like, that's just not something that happens. They're either not doing their job or there's not a good coach. And in the same, yeah. And in the same presser, he came out and said, and like 5 minutes later, whatever, that he heard the rumors that, you know, that Marcus Brady was scapegoated. And I'm like, but you just said he was an excellent coach, so either he was scapegoated or he was a terrible coach and you're just lying. So either way, he was fired, and Frank Reich took over all the coordinator, play calling duties, everything, and their offense has never looked better. No, it was terrible. I think I'm going to save the best for last. The entire offense looked completely inept. I don't even know why Pryor is even on the team anymore. I mean, it would be like one of those pictures where they say, you know, it's the same picture if it was him in it and then with like a traffic cone. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Almost every play, it's either a holding or someone's blowing right past him. I don't think it would have been any different with Ryan or Rodgers or anybody behind this line. It's just the whole thing is so inept. Ellinger, he looked pretty good against Washington. Just no time to throw. Just looked terrible. He only completed 15 of 29. He went 103 yards, but he was sacked like 9 times. I think it amassed almost 60 yards, so they only put up almost like 40 yards passing if you take away the sack yardage. Rushing, he looked okay, almost 8 yards per attempt. But beyond that, Deion Jackson only had 2 yards per carry. Just terrible. Their highest receiver had 1 catch for 23 yards.
Yeah, Alec Pierce.
And that was Alec Pierce. They and once again, their 3 tight ends combined for 3 catches for 15 yards. And I just don't understand why Jelani Woods. I mean, I think he had a big drop in it, but it was a contested catch. But I don't understand why he's not more a part of it, especially on 3rd down. But to have your best receiver yardage total have 23 yards is pitiful. And I can't really blame Ellinger for the interception. It was just, you know, it hit his receiver right on the hands and was tipped right to the defender. So the pick 6 really wasn't on him, but still, the stat line is just awful.
Yeah.
But the bright side has been the defense. They only let up one touchdown in the game. and I think they kicked 4 field goals. So it was a lot of bending but not breaking. Up until the fourth quarter, I think the Colts were in the game, but it never felt that they were. It's just I don't think there was any point in this game where I don't feel like, yeah, the Colts are going to come back and win this game. It's just, I think it's like the 12th or 13th game in a row where they've been trailing at halftime. But I just never felt that the Colts were ever going to win this game.
So what do you think needs to change before we start seeing anything with this offense?
Well, it's pretty apparent. I mean, if he's getting sacked 9 times and he's a mobile quarterback, the biggest problem right now is the line. They are the highest paid, and I know I've harped on that. They're the highest paid line in the NFL. So in comparison to paying, what they're getting paid to what they're performing, they're probably the worst performing group in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's got to change. And Sam Ellinger hasn't had a rushing or a passing touchdown in 8 quarters. So it's hard to say that he's the guy going forward too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this game definitely was one that I bet on the Colts to score 13 points. I actually placed the bet today. It was the Patriots were going to score 26 and the Colts were going to score 13. If it hit, I bet 10 cents. If it hit, I would have won like $100. Yeah, I was really disappointed in the Colts today. But beyond that, beyond my horrible gambling, I mean, I think at a certain point the Colts just need to kind of embrace the suck. And like, at what point do you kind of just give up on the season as a fan and you're like, let's build to the draft?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Can we just fast forward to the draft? It's like,
welcome to Jacksonville.
Be on the team anymore.
Welcome to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Oh, it's week 9. Oh, sweet. The draft, though. Like, who are we taking? In the taking in the top 5? Like that's
yeah.
Like, sweet. We're 1 and 8. Who are we taking number 1? Like, yeah. No, I feel you. But I mean, honestly, I don't think that solves your problem. Like, there's a lot more problems than just quarterback. Of course, you want to get a new quarterback, like a good young quarterback who's got good potential. I think Ellinger even has potential. If he's not getting sacked 9 times and has more than half a second to throw the ball. I mean, the fact that the team netted 43 passing yards due to the sack yardage loss, I mean, that's insane. I don't understand how you can blame an offensive coordinator and fire them and then say that they're excellent, but you were calling the plays. Like, Irsay wanted somebody gone. They got rid of him, and they're like, okay, I'll give you one more chance. I'm not firing you, but I think they're going to clean house on the coaching staff and everything at the end of the season, including what's his name, the general manager. There's a good chance they're going to cut him too. I mean, probably. They just need to get rid of the entire organization at this point and just start fresh. And I mean, honestly, I think at this point it might be a chance. I mean, they're not. I don't want to say they're not making the playoffs because there's always something possible, but just the way that they've played and the inconsistency they've had, there's no way at this point, and might as well just try and get a higher pick. But this game specifically, I mean, that's just pathetic, dude. I mean, how many total yards in the game? I mean, including the sack yards coming back.
If you take away the sack yards, I don't think they even broke
100.
I think they might have broken 100 yards.
Yeah, it's like 120 something on the game. That's insane. But I mean, I don't know. I hate the Patriots, so I picked the Colts to beat them. But I also hate the Colts. It was a hard one for me. I think. Did I pick?
I took the Patriots.
No, I did take the Patriots. No, I did take the Patriots. That's right. I had a good week this week, actually. I picked the Detroit Lions to beat the Packers because I hate Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Like, I had a good week. Anyways,
me too.
Besides the point. But no, I mean, Alec Pierce is one of those guys. Like, it seems like for him, like every single game this year, like it seems that he started or played, he has like 1 or 2 catches that are like really nice, like 20+ yard catches, and then he's just quiet outside of that because they're just not utilizing him. They're not utilizing his height and his speed. Running the ball, it's really hard. If you're getting sacked 9 times, clearly you're not going to be able to push up front to be able to run the ball either. So I mean, it's just there's a lot to clean up. That defense definitely. I mean, it's been looking better lately, but I mean, the Patriots didn't have an amazing day, but they did enough. I mean, it's just going to be a situation where going forward, they might need to just move on from a couple of bigger pieces, maybe get rid of Buckner, maybe get rid of, a couple of guys and just see if they can recoup in the draft and bring in the new era. I don't know.
I was actually just about to ask something like that. Like, if I'm the new GM for the Colts, if assuming Ballard does get the boot, I think there's maybe two players I consider holding on to, and that would be Jonathan Taylor, and at least for the foreseeable future, and probably Quentin Nelson. Everybody else would be subject to, like, if the right trade came to the desk. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in rebuild mode. If you've already got a running back and you've got at least Quentin Nelson, who's still, while the rest of the line is falling apart, Nelson has not always been part of that problem. He's even now having a decent season. It's just you can't have one good guy against the whole team. So let's get into the Jags game, or shit, not the Jags game, the Texans and Philly game from Thursday night. The 29-17 loss to the Eagles, who now for the first time in their franchise history are 8-0. Jalen Hurts had a homecoming game and did pretty well, but Houston had a game like that was a pretty good game for a while there. As per usual, the fourth quarter comes, and then there's the collapse. Davis Mills had his best first half of football of the entire season. He had, I think he was 8 of 9, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a passer rating in the high 100s. By far his best first half of football. However, the second half was the entire reason we ended up losing that game. We made some big plays in that second half, making crucial stops, and then Davis Mills would make the dumbest possible throw, just trying to make a play and just whiffing horribly. So for me, the future of this team is obviously, I'm looking towards a draft at this point. There's clearly no surplus of talent on this team that's just not being tapped into. It's just, this is what we got. If Davis Mills can have a clean game, we have our best shot, and that's very rare, at least this season. I think it's 7 straight games he's had an interception in, so not a good streak for him. But I hear people talking about let's bench Davis Mills. Why? At what point would that make any sense? If Davis Mills if you're trying to get a good look at him, you're going to let him play the whole year anyway. And if he sucks, you let him keep playing, so your draft stock continues to increase. What are we doing here, folks?
Who's your backup anyway?
Well, the backup is Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen would probably mess around and end up winning some games. And I know it's crazy to talk about that here on this AFC South show, but that could be a thing that happens. But the defense played pretty well throughout the game. Pretty consistent pressure on Jalen Hurts. Jerry Hughes had a really solid night. He's got up to 7 sacks now on the season, which is 5 more sacks than he had all of last year for the Bills. And he didn't miss a game. So maybe it's the hometown thing. Everybody just shows up in Houston. They play really well, I guess. It's just something about that atmosphere. But did you guys have anything about that game?
I think the Texans, at least like you were saying in the first half, they came out and did exactly what they needed to do against Philly. They were running the ball well. They were making the stops they needed, and they held Philly to 14 and tied them at the half.
Yeah.
I mean, this was going to come down to, what I thought was going to be like, if the Texans were going to win, they were going to keep it really close and then get like a big run from Pierce or something, and then just kind of sneak a win in there. But yeah, it ran away in the second half. But
yeah,
Pierce had another day, and that's really what I thought it would kind of push them over the hump, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, career day, 137 yards, I believe, 39 on 27 carries. That's pretty solid. He had a really beautiful 36-yard run, 30-yard run, something like that, right before halftime, if I'm not mistaken. And man, he was when he gets going, there's just something about watching this guy. It's just fun. It's like a young Marshawn. I'm very excited for this kid's future.
Yeah, when your leading receiver is Philip Dorsett, there's an issue.
Yeah, but here's the thing: this is a Philadelphia defense that should never let Philip Dorsett even catch a pass.
Yeah,
Like they got Darius Slay and James Bradbury over there who've been dominant this season. In that first half, they didn't look like that. I mean, they weren't even afraid to throw at Slay. Davis Mills threw that way all the time. So, I don't know. I think it's one of those things that I've noticed in football that, like, if there's a team with a lot of stars, you have to treat them like they're not stars. Because you can't double everybody. So you got to treat them like they're normal guys. And it's the same exact thing is true on the opposite end. If you're playing with a bad team, you have to treat them all like they're fucking stars, or you have to do the exact same treatment. And sometimes those matchups really kind of shine, and people who are not supposed to make plays end up making plays. But just another one in the year where the Texans were close, and like for a little bit there, I had faith, I had a little hope, maybe not faith, no faith, but mostly hope. And yeah, they dash it in beautiful fashion every single time. By the way, love the helmets. The helmets were dope.
well, those were, yeah. I'm not even a Texans fan, and I wanted to get my hands on one of those.
Mm-hmm.
It was slick.
But
old man Jerry Hughes, man, I got to give it to him.
Yeah, 34 years old out here, shaking it. But let's see. That gets us to the Jags, who have won a game for the first time in their last 6 games. They are now 3 wins in this season, beating a pretty roster-heavy Raiders team that has just not found any sort of rhythm. And in typical 2022 Raiders fashion, they built up a lead, and the Jags came back and just did what they do best, ran the damn ball. And Travis Etienne had another great game. Isaiah, take it away, brother.
So you asked me on the preview how I felt about, everybody wanting to get rid of Trevor Lawrence. This is why we don't. Great game by Trevor. Limited turnovers. No turnovers at all. 25 of 31 makes him his 3rd game over 80% with 20-plus passes. He ties both Mark Brunell and David Garrard. Garrard had 76 games to do it. Brunell had 109 games to do it. Trevor's at 26. Kept him clean, like I mentioned in the preview. We had to keep Trevor's jersey clean. He did not get sacked a single time. He boasted an 84.3 QBR and 109 rating. 1 touchdown through the air whenever we really needed it. He really drove us down the field in a couple spots. There was one backed up against the end zone. Most young quarterbacks are either taking a sack or they're throwing the ball away there, but he made a quick little shot out to the left side, hit Marvin Jones for a first down, and actually kept us in the game there, because that probably would have, given them the ball back, or, been a 3-and-out there to give them the ball on a nice punt to let them drive down the field. Etienne, I mean, he didn't have his big, 8 yards per carry game, but he carried the ball 28 times, 109 yards, 3.9 average for 2 touchdowns against the best rushing defense in the league in terms of yards. Really respectable game there. It was a big day for Trevor on the ground too. 6 carries, 53 yards, 8.8 yards per carry. So he had a total of 288 in total. 1 touchdown through the air. Travis Etienne with the 2 TDs. We had 2 sacks in the game, both by DeJuan Smoot. So that was a nice little thing, kind of a couple key situations there. We moved the ball. We ran the ball. 28 carries out of our starting back. I don't really ever want to see Etienne at 28 carries, just because he's not exactly the biggest guy, but he was running hard today. I mean, he was making dudes miss. He was going through people. Lawrence, they gave him the fumble early, so he had the pitch play, which JaMychal Hasty bobbled, and they counted the fumble against Lawrence. But anyways, That was the only turnover on our side for that game. Our defense came up big in a couple of spots. Normally, as the other team gets the ball back with a chance to win the game with 3 minutes left to go, our defense just like sits there in lawn chairs and let them drive down the field like they're unimpeded.
Hmm.
But this game, they really stood up there. They tried one of those little razzle dazzle pitch back and forth for like the last play of the game, basically, with 24 seconds left on 4th and 13 or 4th and 20, if I'm not mistaken. Devin Lloyd was playing some real heads up football, got between two guys when the closest guy to the man who was got to the ball for the pitch man and caught that ball and went down with it, ending the game. I mean, it was just a good all around game. Like I said in the pod, we had to play a complete game, a perfect game in terms of on both sides of the ball. And, besides that one fumble on the pitch play, I mean, we played a good game. Important numbers here. We were 1-116 when down by 17 plus points in a game. We are now 2-116 when down by 17 plus points in a game in franchise history. So there's that. It just showed that Trevor Lawrence can actually drive down the field and win us a game, which he's done multiple times, but our defense has just decided to, put their pacifiers in and sit back whenever they get the ball back. But it was a good game all around from us. We had a couple of big plays. I mean, there was like, oh man, I think Cisco dropped 2 picks. Chad Muma dropped a pick. Darius Williams dropped a pick. I mean, there was a lot more opportunities for Derek Carr to turn the ball over that were dropped by Jacksonville. They kind of gave to him back. But, I mean, what can I say more than it was just a really complete game by Jacksonville, and I love to see it. And I think, I don't think we're going to the playoffs, but potentially if we continue to push like that and at least get better, get 3 or 4 more wins on the season, I'd be happy with that. We're already tied for our win column from last year. So if we can just continue to get a couple more and improve, that's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean, anything else is just kind of gravy on top compared to last season. Trevor Lawrence definitely at times this season has looked pretty solid and definitely more improved. He still has those games where it really kind of gets to him, be that play calling or maybe the line's not holding up as well as we'd like. But
throwing 50 times.
Throwing a lot. This was a good balance. They got the run game going and took a lot of pressure off of Lawrence, and he could just do what he does, which is read defenses and make the right throw. And he did that pretty effectively today. Definitely one of his more effective games. I just want to see more out of it. Like, I want him to take over a game. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen him throw a 300-yard game since last season.
I think he has twice this season.
Against who?
Let's see.
We gonna find out.
I know, right? I thought he did. I could be wrong. Hold on.
Well, Jeff, if you want to go ahead and get your...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Someone just came in. No, I mean, I like to piggyback on what you were saying about Lawrence. I don't know if he doesn't have the turnovers. I mean, Jacksonville probably has a couple of more wins on the season. I mean, there's a couple of games that I don't know if it's just putting him in a bad position or what it is, but just some poor decision making has led to them probably giving up a game or two this year. But when I wouldn't say he exactly lit it up. I mean, his yards per completion or attempt weren't that high, but it was effective. It was, it limited. If you don't have turnovers, you're probably going to win. I mean, that's, common sense. So he did have a really good game, and I've seen him shred the Colts defense on numerous occasions, and it's infuriating. But what really gets me is the Raiders. Like, I've got Josh Jacobs in fantasy, and all they had to do, I mean, they were up by 10 at half, and like Josh Jacobs only carried 17 times. Like, why are you still slinging? Devontae Adams had a great game, but why are you still slinging it when you're up? They didn't run the damn ball and didn't give me shit in fantasy.
Right.
But hats off to Jacksonville. I mean, I guess they forced them into those positions, into some bad play calling, bad decision making, and they got the win. So hats off to them.
Yeah.
Outside of a couple of big runs, we stopped Josh Jacobs a lot in the backfield, and there was a pretty solid game on the ground, in terms of stopping him, but also Devontae Adams, man. I mean, holy crap. Yeah. I was literally talking about how good Tyson Campbell's been this season, and how he had allowed less catches than Sauce Gardner and all this different stuff, and then that 32 32-yard touchdown pass to Devontae Adams, which, I mean, he had his hand in there. Devontae Adams is top 3 in the league easily. He might not be in production, but he's still, like, if you're building a franchise and you're trying to get into X wide receiver, he's probably top 3 to top 5 on your list.
Yeah.
But he actually shut him down in the second half, though. He had a really good second half against him. What I meant to mention was in the last 35 minutes of the game, so 5 minutes before the half, and then the rest of the next half, 27-3, Jacksonville outscored the Raiders. And like I said earlier in the group chat, like, the Raiders just don't make any adjustments. They come in, they do their thing, and, like, if it doesn't work, which they most certainly, even like they even mentioned in the commentary before the game, they asked McDaniels how he was going to get down the field, move the ball, and everything. He's like, "Oh, we have to get Devontae Adams involved," and, like, the entire game was just every single play. I mean, he had 6 targets in the first 2 drives, and then he was like, I think he was over 10 before the first half was out, or first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it was crazy numbers, just forcing it to Devontae Adams, and we made adjustments and they didn't, and led to what we saw. But yeah, it's just crazy stuff, man.
Typical Josh McDaniels.
Hey, you gotta love him.
Well, we've got a little bit of time here, so let's get into this Titans-Chiefs game. Obviously, Blake couldn't be with us tonight, but he gave us some notes to go over. Here's the first one. Ryan Stonehouse should be the first punter to win Rookie of the Year. Yeah, the man's been bombing it. He's got like a 51-yard average for the entire month of October. That's pretty healthy right there. You guys got the list in front of you? Yeah. Pick one.
Titans defense looks like it could win a ring. Titans defensive line looks like it could win a ring.
Accurate.
Their defensive line is very good. I'm not going to sit here and put all this Titans love out there because I don't have any to give, but their defensive line, their front seven's pretty decent. Their defensive line is elite as a total group when healthy. They're missing a lot of people and everything this game. I think did Simmons end up playing? I know he was hurt before the game.
He's already got like 2 sacks.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's Autry.
Danico Autry's been great this season. I mean, their offensive line their defensive line as a whole. Offensive line, Jesus Christ, their defensive line as a whole has been really good. Their linebackers have been doing pretty decent as well, especially for them, like, filling in for Landry and these other, like, edge rushers they had at linebacker, kind of hybrid positions there. I mean, their secondary is still shaky. Byard, of course, is the best player back there. Hooker's good when he plays, but he has to play. Corner, they still haven't figured it out, but I mean, they're getting there. That's kind of one of those things where they'll be able to get somebody in the offseason. Holy crap, a 63-yard punt. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. That was
Ryan
Stonehouse for Rookie of the Year. Yeah, he just kicked it from like the 15, and now they're on their 21.
Yeah. Man can flip a field.
Good Lord. But yes, no.
Still not going to give it to a punter, though.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, no, I mean, their defensive front has looked really, really good. But they, of course, they still have some holes, though. So, I mean, that's why I'm kind of surprised the Chiefs aren't taking this one away. But for some reason, I picked the Titans to win every week, and I did this week too. So we'll just see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, I've also got Henry in fantasy, but I'm seeing that he only has like 12 carries, and I see Malik Willis is kind of tapping into that a little bit, but 12 carries for 100 yards. Feed him the damn ball, dude.
Yeah.
Like this should be
No
another
reason.
like Chiefs have one of the worst ranked defenses. Like run the damn ball. Like I need Mixon fantasy value right now.
Amen, brother.
But again, I'm not sold on Malik Willis. He only has 9 attempts, so apparently Vrabel isn't even sold on him.
He's the new Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Poor man's Lamar.
Well, yeah, poor man's Lamar, but
But yeah, he only has 4 completions on those 9 attempts right now. So there's obviously not a whole lot of faith in his arm right now.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand why Henry doesn't have like double the carries right now, especially considering they're leading.
I don't know. But it does look like Downing is calling plays that puts the ball into the hands of the best players, Henry, Hooper, and usually Malik's running ability. And I think that's really kind of that's spreading the love in the run game And the short passing game has kind of been the entire bugaboo for the Chiefs defense tonight. And then, let's see. Blake says, I'd like to see Tennessee rely more on Henry and more on the play action. Well, if you had a quarterback that could throw the ball. You know what I mean? Like, they just pulled up a graphic. By the way, quick score update. It is 17-9. Tennessee on top. There's just under 14 minutes left to go in the game. Kansas City's got the ball. And, yeah. So, he also says that we need to put more pressure on Mahomes. They've been able to do it pretty well all evening, and as he just scrambled out of the pocket to escape pressure. Been doing it pretty well all evening with just their front four. They're not blitzing, and that's been causing some chaos. So for the Titans to win, they got to keep it up. Boys.
On the damn ball.
But so we got under 2 minutes here, under a minute 30. So any week 9 MVPs?
Travis Etienne.
Damian Pierce. Probably go Derrick Henry if the Titans win. So with that, we're under a minute left here, boys. So if we have any final thoughts,
I guess I'll go Quiddy Pay, but not a whole lot of bright spots on this game.
Yeah, pretty dim game for the Colts. Final thoughts, boys.
Go Jags.
All right. Jeff, Isaiah, thank you for coming on. Of course, thank you guys for watching, and go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Still in the hunt for 1,000. Be good people.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
Check the merch in the bottom. It's in the description.